Good evening, and let's get right into another edition of Folks Talking Sports, presented by the Houston Roundball Review. And currently, right now, no sponsor. We're still trying to work on that. Um, I am Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. We're going to go around the screen. You see Yanez in the upper corner there. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Kris.
And where do you work? Who are you with?
I think it'd be easier to say who I'm not. No, I'm joking. Obviously, of course, daytime job, a community impact newspaper covering the city of Pearland. UH Athletics. We're trying to build something with Pawd, Slama, and Jama. We can't wait for these summer months to go by so we can go with Let's Reach Cougs and start that off with football. So,
And we're trying to get a sponsor for that. So, yes. And then
yes,
next,
absolutely.
Willy Gibson. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
Doing pretty well. And who are you with?
I am with WTG Sports.
And you're in Ohio, right?
I am Columbus, Ohio, home
And
of the Ohio State University.
there you go. And last but not least, definitely not least, James Mueller. How are you, sir?
Doing well, doing well.
And who are you with?
The Daily Cougar. Yeah.
And let's get right into that since James is the sports editor. Are you still the sports editor, sir?
Yes, sir.
Is that going to change this fall? Are you going to
No,
have it till you
I have
graduate?
it one more, I'll be it for one more year, and then it will roll over.
All right, good deal. All right, we're going to talk, heaven forbid, we're going to talk some Cougar baseball. Or better yet, James is going to talk some Cougar baseball, and I'm going to listen to what James has to say. But, James, I think, surprise to me, you tell me, but Cougar baseball made it to the conference championship game today. Did that surprise you first off? Did they got that far?
Sort of, but not completely. UH really had a nice turnaround season. They were playing pretty well. They were 2 outs away a couple weeks ago from having a chance to go up to East Carolina and win the regular season title. They blew that save, and then that led on 6 straight losses to end the regular season. So they were in it all year, like in terms of the regular season. And then, but obviously with the 6 straight losses, you don't know how they're going to bounce back. But after they took Tuesday's opener, I thought they'd have a chance just because, typically in these NCAA baseball tournaments, in your conference tournament, you got to take day one, or else you're playing back to back to back, and pitching's just going to be completely worn out. So, I wasn't completely surprised, but it surprised me a little bit.
But the Magic, I guess, was it a Magic season? It ended today in the championship game. They lost the game. Give some details about today's game.
Yeah, so all year the UH bats have really carried the team. The offense has been able to score with anybody. The pitching's been up and down. You get a start from a guy goes 7 strong, giving up 1-2 runs, and then you'd have a bunch of outings where your starters go 3-4, give up 5-6 runs. So pitching was the big question. And East Carolina, they coming into today, they won 17 straight games, and so they were as hot as anyone in the country. And they flexed their muscle early, 3-run homer in the first. And then from there, they tacked on 3 more in the third. And then after that, the UH bullpen, UH played 19 innings yesterday because they had to play 2 games. So they were already exhausted. But they had the duo of Maddox Miller and Ben Sears pitch the final 5 1/3 innings, I think, shutout baseball. So they kept the team in it. And the bats coming into today had produced I forget how many, 30-something runs in 4 games. So they were producing 8-9 runs a game, and they were held to 1 today. And they had 6 hits. Half them came from a freshman named Cam Nickens in the outfield. So the bats just went quiet, and I knew that if they were going to win, they don't win these low scoring close games. It was going to have to be an 8-7, 10-8, some sort of high scoring game. But the bats just couldn't come through today, and so East Carolina jumped out early and held on.
And don't freak out, folks. Yes, we're talking baseball here on Folk Talking Sports because James knows it and I don't, but that's why he's part of the show. James, I think I saw your tweet. The baseball team finished 37-24, an 18 win improvement, right?
Yes.
Is that enough for a coach to keep his job?
I think, if I'm correct, I think he has one more year under his contract. I don't think they'll extend it, but I think right now he'll probably stick around just because UH has been historically pretty good in the American under Todd Whitting. The past few years have been sort of outliers. But I know coming into this year, they had to have a good year for him, or they were going to, cut ties and move in a different direction. And I think 37 wins was just enough to, get him into that last year of his contract. But I'd be surprised if they extended him going into this year. I think next year, is the year, see what happens then, because then you're going into the Big 12 after that, most likely. So
right.
you don't want to, extend them 3-4 years this year and then go 20 and 40 next year, and then you're stuck with him for. But on the other side, if he has a really good year and he's the guy that you think, okay, he's going to lead us in the Big 12, then you can do the extension then. So I think I probably lean towards saying he'll be around for the 2023 season, but after that, it's sort of up in the air.
All right, now we're going to bring in Will and Andy. Will, this is my question for James about Coach Whitting. In terms of success, how does he compare with Coach Ronald Hughey in terms of postseason tournaments, things like that?
Is that for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. They've made, I think, 3 regionals. It's either 3 or 4 under him, and 1 super. So they haven't made it to Omaha for the College World Series, but only 8 teams do that. Regional is basically the equivalent of the NCAA tournament because it's 16. The 16 highest seeds host, and there's 4 teams in there, so you got 64 NCAA tournament. Now for the women's, you got 68. So, I mean, 3 or 4. I think it's 3. I can double check that in a minute, but yeah. So, I mean, he's clearly had more success because he's actually gotten to the tournament at least 3 times, and 1 time they've gone to the supers. So, top 32 in the country. So,
okay. So, Will, Andy. That sounds like more success than Coach Hughey. How long has Coach Whitting been baseball coach at UH, James?
He took over, if I'm correct, in 2010. So yeah. So this was his 12th season.
Okay, so he's had some success, and I know I've seen there are some alums who have really called for his job. But Willy Gibson, Andy Yanez, no trips to Omaha. He does have a trip to a super regional. How does that, to you guys, compare to Coach Hughey?
He's John Wood. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I can't top that. It's a night and day difference. He's been to the tournament. He's had postseason success, and going back to this season, he had an 18-win improvement. I think certainly he was on the hot seat just in terms of the bad couple of seasons they had strung together in 2020 and 2021. He's been able to turn. He was able to right the ship this season with that. Going all the way to the championship game. At the end of the day, I feel they probably just ran into a team that was just clear-cut better than them. But I don't think there's a comparison there. There's clearly night and day difference because even when you look at the conference tournament, the women's team has never gotten to the conference championship.
Will?
Game.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there is no comparison. I mean, Todd Whitting is his name. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
He's had unmatched success compared to Coach Ron Hughey. I mean, and for me, I compare it. I was listening to James, and I compare it. I am an Ohio State guy. I live in Columbus, and Ohio State just fired their baseball coach, Greg Beals, Monday, with 1 year left on his deal. After his 12th season, 3 regionals. This year they were 8-14 in the conference, 21-30 overall. Won 2 Big Ten championships in 16 and 19, regionals, and 16, 18, and 19, but didn't get out of the first round. And so there is at Ohio State with 1 year left on this deal, 12 seasons in, not a 17-win improvement. I think I heard not that by any means. 18.
Uh-huh.
18-win improvement by no means. He was 21-30 this year, 8-14 in the conference, but he, with 1 year left on his deal, was shown the door. So it's but going back to Coach Huey in that comparison, I don't think there is one.
All right.
And Kris, if I could add one thing,
sure.
I just looked it up. So he's been to 4 regionals, 1 super, and from 2013 to 2019, they had 7 straight 32-plus win seasons, which is pretty good in college baseball, 30-plus win seasons. So just to put some numbers in perspective.
Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. That's why you're part of the show. Insight and knowledge to what we don't know. Our guest it's like he's in his car, so I'm not sure if he's back in town or still in Louisville. We're going to bring him on here. I know this man for a long time, fellas. Marlon Lowe. How are you, Marlon?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Let's just talk basketball, man. Folks who don't know, who are you, and what's your background in basketball?
Hello. I based on a lot of
Hey, Marlon, can you log out and come back in? You got a lot of buffering on your end, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
sure I can do that.
yeah. Thank you, man. We'll come back to you because he's somebody I think the audience will enjoy listening to, especially based on the announcement of a certain young man who committed to UVH a few days ago. But so let me see if I get Marlon off here. We'll keep talking with our group. But yeah, James, that's a lot of success for Coach Whitting compared to Coach Huey. And I'm not trying to. This is not bashing of Coach Huey. We just either you have success, it's a job. You have success or you don't. You know, this is a winning business, right? Gentlemen, you win.
It is.
The objective is to get to the tournament and hopefully play well enough, compete for a championship. All those things go together. So, hey, I will say this, James. I do know that, and Will, I mentioned this to Andy, that UH women's basketball regarding the class of 2023, they are still working on it. Okay? That's it. They are working on it. We have seen them. I noticed them, a player.
What does that mean?
Go ahead, Will.
No, what does that mean? I apologize. What does that mean?
That's the same thing Andy asked me. What does that mean? But that's what I was told. They are working on it for class of 23. So there we go.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Let me try to see if mine is better. There we go. That's better. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
No problem.
So give folks your background there.
Marlon Lowe. I would basically coach summer basketball, travel basketball. I've been doing it this is year 26 for me. I've been working with kids from elementary all the way through the pros, and I've trained a lot. I've been around for a while, so I've seen a lot, the good, the bad, and the old regime and part of the new regimes that come through. So I'm just glad to be here to have an opportunity to have a great conversation with you all.
Appreciate it. And I think I met Marlon probably through John Lucas, either John Lucas or Jim Hicks, one of those two.
Yeah.
Long time ago. But we reconnected, ironically, because one of his sons was a top 10 finalist for the Guy V. Lewis Award this year. So just talk about that for a second, Marlon.
It was a great opportunity for him. His name is Jalen Lowe. He's a class of 2023. He'll be an incoming senior at Fort Bend Marshall this year. He plays for Ronnie Courtney, the legendary Ronnie Courtney, who's done a lot of great things around the city of Houston. And it's been a great experience for him. So just being a part of having the opportunity to have his name within that group of guys, it says a lot. And it just means that he's got to continue to keep working and continue to do the things that he's been doing as well. So it was a great experience and opportunity for him.
Now, where were you and the team this weekend? Are you still there? Are you back in town?
We're still in Louisville. We just got finished playing a game. We got another one tomorrow. Then we'll be headed back out. So it's part of the Nike EYBL session. So it's some of the best teams in the country that are here. We're playing basically on the University of Louisville, basically at the old Freedom Hall. If people remember Denny Crum when he played coach at Louisville, and it's teams from all over the country here, from West Coast to East Coast, and it's the best talent in the country, basically pound for pound.
And what team or program are you part of?
I'm with the Houston Hoops right now. I'm with the Houston Hoops that's ran and been organized. The director is Hal Passner. Started that. His son is Josh Passner, is the head coach at Georgia Tech. Our head coach right now is Maurice Taylor, that played at the University of Michigan, played with the Houston Rockets with a good stint with them. So it's a pleasure to be with him, and he's doing a great job, and he's doing a lot of teaching and instructing and helping these guys to understand the game of basketball as well. So it's fun.
And Willy Gibson, don't be too mad at Marlon for working with Maurice Taylor, a Michigan guy. Will he's a the Ohio State Buckeye guy, Marlon. So him and Big Blue don't get along too great. But
I understand that. I had a great conversation. I got a friend of mine, Tuffy Rhodes. He's from Cincinnati himself. He played baseball, and he came down here to kind of watch us play. And he kind of gave a little grief to Mo too.
Who were some of the young men on the Hoops? Was this the 17 team?
Yes, it is. Obviously my son, Jalen Lowe. We have a young man named JoJo Tugler from Cypress Falls. He just committed to the University of Houston last week with Kelvin and Kellen Sampson. That was a great pickup for them. We have Jace Posey, son of James Posey. We have TJ Ford Jr. We have.
I feel so old, man. So old. Man.
Right. We have Ashton Hardaway, who lives in Dallas, the son of Penny Hardaway. So we got a really good group of guys that have been playing with us. And I tell you, one of the biggest things in 25 years, just being 26 right now, I haven't had a team with this many former players' sons on a team that can all play. Usually you don't have that a whole lot of times. Usually sometimes it skips a year, it skips a generation, but all these guys can play, and it's great to be around these guys. And the parents come through as well, so they're fully in support of the kids.
And one of the reasons I reached out to you, short notice, so thank you for taking time to join us. But
no problem.
I had to ask, and James will, Andy, y'all questions, follow up after this question. Tell us, what does JoJo Tugler, what is his game? Describe his game for us.
His game right now today, his game is about energy, hustle, and hard work. He is a blue collar guy. He competes. He's a warrior. And that's his skill right now. Basically, he plays hard and competes, but he's super athletic, man. He's got about 6'7", has a 7'5" wingspan, athletic, and just, you don't have to tell him to dive on the floor. You don't have to tell him to commute to weak side and rebound and block it's just a natural instinct that just it just rolls right off of every movement that you see with him.
You guys, open up to you guys for questions. Andy?
Well, before I even ask a question, I mean, just right there, describing him, I can see why he committed to the University of Houston, because he just listed off all the different intangibles, really the descriptions that you see with a lot of these kids that commit to the University of Houston. So he'll fit right in. But obviously, you talked a little bit about what he does well. You said he had like a 7'5" wingspan. How do you still feel he can grow? He still has a year left to before he joins the University of Houston. What do you think might be something that he can continue to develop before he gets to campus?
It's quite a few things. I think, like what you said, like what he does and who he is right now fits perfectly what Coach Sampson and the University of Houston does. I'm pretty sure that's why they were drawn and attracted to him immediately. What they teach other kids in their couple years there, he has it already going in. So within what he can continue to work on is he's going to be able to work on his jump shot. He can shoot the 3 ball. He can hit some shots. He's got a really good feel for the game. If he was in the middle of a press and you put him in the press, he can turn. He's going to make the right pass. He's going to make the right reads. that's definitely a skill and an asset to have from a guy who's going to be playing maybe the 4 and sometimes maybe the 5 for them. But he's going to, as long as he continues to work on his shot, get it up a little bit, work on just footwork around the paint, things of that nature. But many of the things that he has, like I said, it's just a raw God-given talent that's like, wow, okay, now you just want to keep nurturing it. So that's what he has.
Will, James?
I mean, I was just gonna. You sort of answered it, but I know when reading about him, they have him listed as a power forward. Do you think? And you just talked about how he can play the 4 or 5. What do you think? Like, do you see one of those spots more? Him being more prone to when he gets into college.
As far as his position wise, you mean?
Yeah, position wise.
He'll be. I would say he would be a 4 going in. Just depends on the type of people who they have around him, but his talent and his skill wise, I could see him long term being able to play on the perimeter some as well, like a 3, maybe a few years down the road. But again, that's going to be just depends on how he continues to develop at the University of Houston, because right now they're going to. What he does is what they value the most, which is around the paint and around the rim. He's going to do that, but as they continue to enhance his talent, I mean, heck, Fabian White wound up going there, and then when at his 3rd and 4th year, last 2 years, he was really playing on the perimeter, hitting some really good jump shots as well. So I can see JoJo Tugler doing the same thing, and with more versatility, more skill, and more athleticism for sure.
Wow. Well, you got a question for Marlon Lowe?
I do. Thank you. You mentioned this is year 26 for you as far as grassroots basketball. How has the scene changed from when you started to now?
Man, well, back then, everybody had a pen and paper. Now everybody has video cameras everywhere, and social media was nowhere to be found back then. So that was the difference. Even now, there's some of the people who were then in the game then are still here now. They've adjusted a lot as well. The biggest thing has been one of the biggest adjustments has been the college coaches. Back when we started out, college coaches could come out and watch you anytime they wanted to watch you, and after the game, they could actually shake your hand after the game. Now they can't have any kind of interactions with you at all. So that's been some of the biggest changes. But as far as the talent is concerned, there's more teams now. Back then, it was very few teams, so you were able to find the most talented type of group of young men that you have, and you can help bring them onto your team, and you'd be able to go travel and compete nationwide and be able to win, especially coming from Texas. Now, the way it is, there's a lot more teams now, so you would say it's watered down per se. It's a lot more harder to get certain guys off of to recognize that you're this is the type of group that you really want to be with, like the Houston Hoops. And even JL3 with John Lucas, he has a Nike travel team as well. So with those 2 teams, they're the best 2 in our region, and we're just about making sure the kids are able to identify certain guys and let them know that we're here, and we're probably the best platform for most of them if they want to play on a high level and be able to play in front of the top guys who they see on TV every weekend.
Marlon, how has the Houston Cougars men's basketball program evolved since Kelvin Sampson took over?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, one thing that Coach Kelvin Sampson does is he brings toughness. He's got is toughness, grit, and is competing. I think that's like a philosophy of his that a lot of people don't really have a philosophy when you walk in the door, and that's a non-negotiable for him. So the program, since he's taken over, man, it's starting to be, it's obviously it's nationally recognized again now, back to almost basically when Guy V. Lewis was there. It's not to that level, but at the same time, they've accomplished a lot of things with these Sweet 16s and everything else that they're going to Elite 8. So he's doing, and Coach Sampson is he's a hard hat type of guy. He's doing more with less. So with them going to the Big 12, I think that he'll be able to get the type of talent that he's had when he was at Oklahoma and the rest of these guys. And I think that he'll continue to elevate who he is because he's got a great IQ for the game and understands how to get guys better. And while now being able to recruit the highest level of guys to be able to play in his program. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the future. And I've been enjoying the University of Houston ever since he came on board because he's always kept his doors open to make sure that everybody around the city from various programs are able to have their kids to come in and their families to come participate and watch the games. And I tell you what, man, when that Fertitta Center came on, man, that's a whole nother level right there, man. That's beautiful.
I have a follow-up to that. You mentioned Lowe, how with Kelvin Sampson, since he took over the Houston program, one of the non-negotiables is kind of establishing that toughness factor. And you yourself, obviously, as a coach, how tough is that to be able to establish that type of, that culture with a team, with a program?
You know what? I think what they do is, as far as their recruiting with his staff, with Hollis Price, Quanis, and Kellen, they know they all played for Coach Sampson. That's one of the beautiful things about it. They know what Coach Sampson wants. They know what type of player he wants. And they're able to recruit that type of player. And when you have a staff that is able to recognize who you are, what's important to you, it's a lot easier for them to go out and get the players that fits your style. Which, with that being said, sometimes they might not take the player that everybody thinks they should take because he might not fit their style of play. And he might sometimes, some of these guys are at the top. He doesn't really want any prima donnas. He wants guys that was ready to get after it and work because that's who he is. And so and attitude reflects leadership. And so those guys continue to play like that even after they leave Coach Sampson because, and especially while they're there, because that's what he grinds in them. And that's who they recruit from the start to make sure that those are the type of guys that fits his program. I think that's important. I don't think a lot of college coaches have guys around them, their assistant coaches, that understand totally who they are.
And Marlon, I got another question. And Will, James, feel free to jump in if I'll have others as well. And I don't want to bash previous regimes at Houston, but how much of a change, if it's been a change, you mentioned about the open doors to you and other Houston grassroots programs. Was that a drastic change compared to previous coaching regimes at Houston?
It was pretty much. It was a drastic change because what he did was, like you said, no knock to the coaches, but Coach Sampson brought in people like even Bilal Batley, who was familiar with Houston grassroots area and the Dallas grassroots area. So when he took one of those guys, took on built his staff at the university, and took people in place in the community as well. So they were able to reach out, and it's always about around people that know. Open the doors open, so we felt people felt comfortable about coming up there because they already knew you. I just get warm up. So,
all right, Marlon, I'm gonna pause you. I'm gonna pause you right there and ask you. Let's see if we can got a bad spot again. See if you can come out and come back in because I really want you to talk about the difference in the Coach Sampson regime. So, live technology, man. You roll with the punches, keep on going.
Dang, Wi-Fi or
Wi-Fi
LTE.
issues. That's how it is, and he's in a car, so we're
probably
in buildings. So
yeah.
But what are your thoughts? What you heard so far, guys?
No, whenever he was describing Tugler, like immediately, like he literally hit all the key points. Like if you I don't know, if you were like creating a U of H basketball player from scratch, he literally listed off all the points that Kelvin Sampson looks for. So immediately, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense why he committed to the University of Houston so fast. And what really kind of caught my attention is how he talked a little bit about, how he could still develop in terms of jump shot. And obviously, he described what Fabian White has been able to do with Houston and how Tugler could potentially do that, but at a much higher level. I think that's certainly interesting and something of note.
And we're back. Marlon's driving, man. Look at this, boy. I'll tell you, it's a high-tech world, man. I love this, man. This is live streaming, and this is how we roll here on Folks Talking Sports. But, and like I said, Marlon and I go back a long way. So this streaming stuff, nowhere close to stuff we had back in the day when we were in the lab with Luke at 5:30 in the morning in the gym watching the players work out. So, but okay, I think the Wi-Fi is better now. So just go back to the difference between the open doors between before Coach Sampson and now Coach Sampson.
Coach Sampson brought in a great group of guys, like I said, even with Bilal Batley, guys that knew the community well and knew how to reach out and touch people and made those people feel welcome to come in. He even would bring you to the office and talk about what his plans were, and said, he reached out and let people, I want you to be a part of this program. I want you to be a part of helping us to change the perception of this program and get it back to elite status. He did that to a lot of the grassroots coaches around the city and throughout the state. So, and then obviously they have roots from North Carolina themselves. So that helped a whole lot.
James, you got a question?
Yeah, I mean, sort of going off just the way Coach Sampson built his program, you obviously work with some, great athletes within the greater Houston area. Have you seen, obviously with JoJo committing, but just how have you seen, more appeal within, just Houston athletes, high school athletes, getting drawn more to the program and actually considering it compared to, before Sampson took over?
I think they are. Especially now. What Coach Sampson did was he brought in a lot of teams that guys they previously only see them on television. So when he got a chance to bring in those high-level teams and play against those teams, and now it's like, you can be in your own backyard and play against these guys. You don't have to leave the state. You don't have to leave and go anywhere else. Those same teams are going to come to us, and we're going to go to them, their places, and we're going to win. That was huge. I think that was really, really big. Is the fact as far as scheduling is concerned, that he wanted to schedule those tough teams, and he wanted to make sure that the fan base around the city had an opportunity to see them play, compete, and win against other national teams as well.
How much has the fan base changed at Houston in the 26 years that you've been doing this?
Wow. I tell you, it's night and day, literally. I remember a couple years ago when they beat LSU at Houston. It was probably about, I think they had chicken nose. Their chicken was probably about a sophomore or junior then, and the high fines was packed out. I hadn't seen it like that ever, and in my time. But so it has really changed a lot, and it's more so, like I said, people feel comfortable and look forward to University of Houston games now, especially with the new arena, and every seat is a floor seat, is a great seat, and you get to enjoy the experience.
Marlon, I got a question for you guys. And like I said, if y'all have something to ask, feel free to jump in. How does do you approach the staff? Hey, I got a player you guys might be interested in, or do they approach you about a player that they have interest in? How does that work?
It goes both ways, but for the most part, I think that they get a chance to see certain guys and they hear about certain guys. If they play with a certain program, then they'll reach out to that program and just kind of see. But they invite everyone to their games, regardless of what team you play for, and they kind of build a relationship and they want you to feel comfortable. So when they do reach out to you, you already feel like you already kind of know who the staff is and the coach, and now it's just about seeing if it's a fit. But if I had somebody that I knew exactly fit them, like a JoJo Tugler, like I wouldn't have any problem reaching out to them, because you have to know what works for Coach Sampson, and he'll work for him. He fits.
Going to shift gears as we wrap it up with Marlon Lowe. Right now he's with the Houston Hoops, coached by Maurice Taylor. Well, from Michigan and Rockets and Clippers. Who you got tonight, Marlon? Game 7, Heat, Celtics. Man,
it's been tough, man. I'm actually going. I had a toss up. I told somebody, man, either way with this, man. It's hard to call this series, only because Miami might be at home. I can see Miami winning, but at the same time, to play it safe, I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics pulled it off either. But Jimmy Butler, he's due for a back-to-back game.
All right, Marlon Lowe, thank you very much, man. And I'm going to reach out to you probably sometime this week because I want to see if I can talk to Jalen.
Sounds good.
Interview him. So I want to give him some more recognition because he's getting plenty. So thank you very much, man, and we'll keep in touch.
All right, take it easy, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was great. Kudos to him. I reached out to him last night, literally, and I said, "Hey, Marlon, you got time? Yeah, man, send me the link." Okay, so that was it, basically, from Louisville. So much appreciation to that. But let's shift gears right into it. Mr. Yanez was on point last Sunday with his guarantees. So go to you first, sir. What you got tonight? Game 7, Boston, Miami.
I've stuck with them the entire postseason. Boston in 7. I actually did call. I said this will be a 7-game series. Here we are at Game 7, and I think Boston will pull up the upset in Miami. I know it just got announced that Tyler Hero will play for the Heat, but I don't know. I think Tatum and Brown certainly, who struggles in Game 6, they'll have bounce back games and then push Boston over the top.
Is that a guarantee?
It's a guarantee.
Guarantee.
Willy Gibson, what say you, sir? Game 7, Boston, Miami.
Purely coincidental that I'm wearing green tonight. Purely.
Okay.
It is appropriate because I'm picking Boston in 7. I guarantee it.
Oh. Well, you caught me off guard there, Will.
Guarantee. Guarantee.
James Mueller, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with both of them. Coming into the series, I thought it was Boston in 6. I'm not going to change it, even though it went to Game 7. So I'll give you we'll give you the third guarantee that Celtics pull it out.
Guarantee.
Wow. I'm almost speechless because I am speechless. We're talking about a road team winning a Game 7.
Oh.
And I thought Boston should have won Game 6. I picked them to win in 6. But doggone it. Let's make it 4 in a row. 4 for 4. Boston in 7. Guaranteed.
Guarantee.
So there we go. And Andy, what was our guarantee? Because we had it right last Sunday, didn't we?
I had Golden State going up 3-0.
You got that one, but didn't all 4 of us have it? Or did we pick Dallas? What was all 4 of us?
No,
Willie
and James picked Dallas.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, it was a Boston
bounce back in Game 4.
and tie it.
Yeah, we got okay. So we got that one. So we got that guarantee right last Sunday. Let's see if we get it right this Sunday. So, all right. Well, we'll see about that one, boy. Picking the road team to win Game 7. How about that? All right. Mr. Gibson.
Yes, sir.
You always get a kick out of pointing this out because it's a great fact. How much money does the Ohio State make for every home football game?
Give or take, they're about $15 million.
$15 million.
Yes, sir.
That is absurd.
For a home game.
Yeah.
For a home game.
Yes.
All right.
Arkansas State or Penn State. Doesn't matter.
I'm going to shift gears from the big boys. We're going to talk about the non-big boys. I think James, Houston football announced some kickoff times for the first part of the 2022 schedule. The game at UTSA, 2:30 p.m. Will, it's going to be on CBS Sports Network. I'm sure you're looking forward to making a trip down for that one, that Titanic tilt. That's September 3rd, Saturday, September 3rd. Andy, Saturday, September 10th, a preview of a conference, Big 12 conference matchup of the next 2 on the schedule.
Back to back, yeah.
At Texas Tech, 3 p.m. on FS1. September 17th, as you said, home versus Kansas, 3 p.m. on ESPNU. If I read this right, there has not been a kickoff time yet announced for the game September 24th, home against Rice. Is that right, James?
Yeah.
No kickoff time yet for that one?
I don't
That's
think
correct.
I've seen anything with that.
I mean, it's not like it's going to be a Titanic tilt about let's put this game Houston and Rice on big time TV, but On Friday, Willy Gibson, Andy Yanez, James Mueller. September 30th, home versus Tulane. Will, home versus Tulane, 6 p.m. on ESPN.
Friday night, 6 p.m. Got it.
Yeah. There's not going to be anybody at that game.
Yeah.
6 p.m., traffic, Houston. I think high school football should be underway. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I hope not going to be a lot of Tulane Green Wave fans either, at that game. So that won't be a good look. But anyway, next, another Friday, October 7th, at Memphis, 6:30, ESPN 2. Should be more fans there, but 6:30 starts not much better. But what are your thoughts on that, James? And the last one for kickoff time, announced time, Saturday, October 22nd at Navy, 11 a.m. Network to be announced. Let's break it down. What is it? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 7 games. Those first 7. How many wins out of those first 7 for Houston Cougar football? First, let's go. Let's one at a time. At UTSA.
They should win.
Agreed. They should win.
Will?
Wasn't UTSA ranked earlier, late in the season last year?
They were, but they fell off towards the end.
Yeah. I have no skin in the game. I'll pick UTSA.
Okay. I won't be a hater. I'll pick the Cougs. So that's 1-0. We got 3 1-0s and 1 0-1. Next, at Texas Tech in Lubbock.
Again, I think they should win. The only game I could see them
Really? You think
lose.
so?
They got more experience back. And I mean, they're returning.
Recruits.
They should have beat them last year. Holding the ball the entire first quarter, going up 14-0, and then not scoring in the entire second half. I mean,
okay.
I think that'll be tough. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, James, you're gonna pick them, go 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Andy?
I think that's tough because playing at Texas Tech, 3 p.m., especially what happened last season. But I don't know. That for me, that's 50-50. I'm gonna lean towards them losing that one at Texas Tech in Lubbock. I think it'll be a tough one for sure. And I'm picking Tech.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick them to lose that. Will?
What's the date of that game?
September 10th.
September 10th, Saturday the 10th.
Second game of the season. Sonny Cumbie is gone. He's at La Tech now, so I'll take Houston to win that one.
All right. Next, September 17th, home against Kansas. 3 p.m.
That better be a Houston win. If they lose that game, that'll be all alarms ringing again. After ignore last season, you can't lose to Kansas at TDCU. I imagine by then so they'll know whether they're going to the Big 12 by 2023 or not by then. So if they are, they can't lose that game.
Agreed. We all agree on that one.
Yeah.
So James got a 3-0. The rest of us have them 2-1. September 24th, Rice.
Another one you should pencil in.
Okay, so 3-1 or 4-0. September 30th, Friday, home versus Tulane.
That should be a win for Houston.
Yeah.
4-1 or 5-0. Okay, at Memphis.
This is where I think they might stumble. Memphis, Houston. We've talked about both in football and basketball. They typically have, pretty entertaining contests. It's on the road. Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this one.
Will?
Some new coaching staff in Memphis too. A couple of Buckeyes, but I'll pick Houston.
So
Andy?
I got Houston.
Wow. Okay, I got a road game as a loss. Okay, so we got 5-1, then me at 4-2, and then the last of the 7 had a bye week in between. So October 22nd at Navy.
Should win.
Agreed.
So first 7 games, we're looking at 5-2 or 6-1. Right?
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. So let's just go. We don't have times for the rest of them, the remaining games, but let's just go on down the list to see as of our predictions as of May 29th. Home versus USF.
Win.
Andy?
Yeah, agreed. That should be a win.
Will?
Yep.
All right. At SMU, Saturday the 5th.
Too much change at SMU. Houston wins.
They got a lot of, well, on paper, they got a lot of talent coming in a transfer portal, but, you know.
Yeah,
Andy?
at SMU, I think this will be a tough game, especially what they were able to do to them this past season, which it was a crazy game. I think I give SMU the edge in this contest.
Will?
I'll pick Houston.
All right. I'll pick SMU. My loss, pretty much you can tell me road losses for the Cougs. Home against Temple.
W.
Yeah.
Agreed.
At East Carolina.
Another win.
Yeah.
Yep.
It shows you how weak this is. This is just a really sad schedule, conference-wise. And then last conference game before the AAC championship game. Home against Tulsa. Thanksgiving, Friday, Saturday.
Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking about how the stadium will be for that game. But I agree.
Hope it's Saturday, but yeah, if it's a Friday, it's going to be really bad.
Yeah, no one's going to be there on Friday.
So, yeah.
I do Houston should win, regardless.
Will?
I'm picking Tulsa.
Will, that should be, what is that? That should be senior day, Will, for the Cougs.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference to you, huh?
Nope.
Okay.
I saw Tulsa last year come in the shoe, and I'm picking Tulsa.
So we got 12 games. Is that 12 right there?
Yep.
So, James, what you got? What, 10-2?
11-1.
11-1. Andy, what are you?
I had him at 10-2.
I think I got him at 9-3.
Yeah.
And Will, I think you're 9-3 now with that loss to Tulsa.
Yep.
Well, and then that should be good enough. Guys, the divisions still apply for the championship game, right? You still got still be divisions for this season?
In the American, there is not. It's the two best teams.
Two best teams.
Yeah,
okay, so the Cougs should be in the championship game?
I'd expect them.
Yeah, agreed. They should be up there.
Well, that means Dana will go into the Big 12 with possibly another 9 or 10 wins under his belt, maybe 11. What does that say?
It's a weak conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. James, what does that say to you? You agree with Will or what?
Yeah, it doesn't tell me much. I mean, winning 10, 11 games in the American, that's not going to translate into the Big 12 without improvement in other areas. You can't go there and expect to be a 10-win team in the American. That's probably equivalent to the bottom tier of the Big 12. Let's just be honest.
Andy, what do you say?
I mean, Willie and James have hit points. And when you look at the non-conference schedule, obviously, I think that Texas Tech game in Lubbock is the toughest matchup of them all. And at the end of the day, Rice, Kansas, UTSA, it doesn't tell you much. I mean, to be quite honest, it's much so a gap year. And I mean, let's take us to the Big 12. There's nothing more you can say.
All right. June 1st is Wednesday. That's the deadline day for young men who have put their name in the NBA draft to withdraw from the draft and maintain college eligibility. Andy, coming to you first. What do you think Marcus Sasser is going to do?
The longer it goes, I've been anticipating him to drop. I'm surprised that it's dragged out this long, but the longer he waits, um, to be honest, man, I think he really is a 50-50 because I don't see what the weight is if he's not gonna keep his name in the NBA. I figured if he was real leaning that way, he would have already announced it. We saw Kenny Lofton do his it was a week ago or so.
Roughly, yeah.
He announced he was going to stay and then keep his name in the NBA draft. I think the longer it goes, I feel like it's. You know what? I think he'll stay.
Think he'll stay in the draft or stay at Houston?
And stay at Houston.
Will?
I think he goes without the first round guarantee, because the word was if he had a first round guarantee, he would stay. I think he stays regardless.
James?
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Will. He's not gonna. I mean, unless somebody's just trying to, convince him to stay in. I don't think realistically he'll get a first round guarantee, but I think UH has got to be prepared to play next year without him because I don't see him coming back.
And Andy's logic is sound. What's taking so long? Why is he waiting this, it's May 29th right now, today. Why has he made a decision? Go ahead, Andy, you go ahead and finish your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was gonna say maybe he's really trying to stay true to his word, and he's just waiting until the 11th hour to see if he gets like that first round guarantee or I don't know, some type of commitment from an NBA team. But like you were kind of tying it back together. I don't know. I feel if he was set on he's gonna keep his name in the NBA draft. I'm not sure what more could he have done over this past week that would improve his draft stock or get him to do that. I truly think, and I can't remember the time frame. It was probably a week ago when he told Jonathan Fagan of the Chronicle that he was 50-50. Man, I wouldn't be surprised if he waits until Tuesday. Heck, goes right to the deadline and makes his decision. But the longer it stays, I think he stays.
Now, it's proven accurate thus far, but I was told 3 weeks ago, roughly, that he would probably wait up until the last possible moment to make a decision. So June 1st, if it's 10:59 p.m. Central, 11:59 Eastern, he might wait that long to make a decision. So I believe he's going to stay in the draft. I don't think he should, but I think he will. But I'm going to toss it out there, and I think everybody agrees it's tough to tell Marcus, a young man, a young person, not to follow their dreams. And he has a dream to pursue his dream. He has a dream of being a pro basketball player, playing in the NBA. But playing in devil's advocate, and I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but Will James, another preseason, obviously it's May, so take it for what it's worth, but another preseason, way too early, top 25, has Houston in the top 5 with Marcus. John Rothstein, who I'm not a huge fan of for a lot of other issues, he has the Cougs ranked 3rd with Marcus Sasser. And the incoming guys of Jarris Walker, Terrence Arsenault, and other talent. 3rd, Jeff Goodman at one point had them number 1. And he was way too early. So part of me wants to follow Andy's logic. Marcus comes back. You got a chance to be a top 5 program, a top 5 team next year. Have a chance to get to the Final Four. Then go pro. So Andy's logic is, like I said, it's sound. But if Marcus wants to go pro, he's gonna go pro. He's not gonna get a first round guarantee. Unless he's had some awesome workouts these last few days that we haven't heard about. But man, chance to play for number one team in the country, added to the fact you got a chance to possibly play in the Final Four in your home, the school's home city, but you still want to go pro?
All right, let me throw something out there. I don't wish this on the young man at all.
Sure.
But let's say December 1, he tears an Achilles, coming back to Houston, playing with hopes of getting to the Final Four in his city, for the culture, for the city, and he tears his Achilles. Then what?
There is that. That is a great question. I hope it.
I don't wish that on him. Don't get me wrong.
No, of course. I mean, because he missed the rest of the season after he broke a bone in his foot this past year in December.
Exactly.
So that could be another part of the thought process in his equation of why choose to keep his name in the draft. He already missed. He already had an injury in college. So, Andy, how do you respond to that?
No, it's certainly a valid point, especially, every time you step on the court at the end of the day, like you mentioned, the goal of a lot of these players is never just the NCAA at that level is really, really good. But for a lot of these players that are really at a high level, their goal is to go professional, whether it be in the NBA. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal, or at the end of the day, make money playing the sport of basketball. And Marcus Sasser is at the point where, at the very least, I think he'll be able to make money at the G League level first, and then he can work his way up. Some people after the draft combine, some analysts said that he could be a second round pick and then be a contributor off the bench for teams. I'm not sure entirely, if that's accurate, across, if scouts and from NBA teams, I would agree with that. At the end of the day, if it is a valid decision, but I guess to counter that argument is, do you feel that the risk is worth it? And by that mean, do you feel that, like we mentioned it, and I believe it was a previous episode, he's going to be on national TV a lot more if he chooses to come back to Houston. He already has an NIL deal with Star Pizza. I believe that's the name of the business. Maybe he gets a couple of other NIL deals locally. Obviously, it wouldn't be a level of getting an NBA contract, but it'd be something. And at the end of the day, he's getting more exposure. Like you mentioned, Kris, he has opportunity to be the best player on what could potentially be the best team in the country, and certainly would be the expectations would be sky high for this program. Now, there's also not just the injury risk, but there's a chance of, with the expectations being so high, at the end of the day, what if there's like a letdown? Obviously, of course, every team's different. The expectations will be sky high, and especially once March Madness rolls around, all it takes is one bad game. It could be in the Sweet 16, it could be heck before that, and then all of a sudden that buzz goes away. But I think, and it's tough because obviously we're not in his shoes and we don't know all the different factors that he's processing. But at the end of the day, I feel like the risk is worth it because of what the potential is here to be able to do in Houston. Obviously, we mentioned it. That's something not even the five-time Jama teams were able to do, and that's win a national championship. And like you mentioned, in the city of Houston, where the Final Four will be, can't really top that, except your dreams, because getting an NBA contract, that's the one thing that'll top that.
There's a comment right there. Next year's draft class is projected to be deeper, so you might feel he might be a second-round pick anyway, even if he plays well next season.
And that's another point.
There's a point there, but at some point, he can't be afraid.
Exactly.
Okay? He can't play scared, can't play. He's got to make a decision and stick with it. If it's staying in the NBA, stick with it. If that means he doesn't get drafted, he's bouncing around the G League, stick with it. That's your choice. And, go ahead, Will.
We mentioned G League, and that's one option, but many players go to Europe and play for $400,000, $500,000.
He said he didn't want to do that.
He does not. Yeah,
he doesn't want to do that.
I do that. Okay, fair enough.
And to be quite frank, he said he didn't want to do the G League route either. He said he was first round pick or he's coming back. And if he's sticking true to that, that's why, at the end of the day, maybe he is going to stick true to his word. And that's why he's taking until the last possible hour to see if he can get that first round commitment. So who knows?
Well, or he could be waiting until he gets a better NIL deal from Tillman or somebody with money.
That could be it too.
We're going to wrap it up right there. So, Will Gibson, how can folks find you, sir, on social media and contact you?
Yes, sir. Thank you. You can find me on social media at Will Gibson 7, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Will knows.
Andy, how can folks find you?
For sure, they can follow me on Twitter at @Yanez_5. Kris, if you allow me, obviously, of course, to also plug in our Pawd Slama Jama podcast as you see it scrolling down in the ticker. For those University of Houston fans, basketball fans in general who have not been able to tune in yet, we had a very big guest this past. For our most recent episode, we had Cordell Jefferson, who we talked about JoJo Tugler on the show with his head coach. KJ, he was the first commit for the University of Houston class of 2023, and we had a lengthy conversation.
High tech world. And Andy Fro. See, James, how can folks find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JDM2186, and all my work is on the dailycougar.com.
And I am Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Thank you for the comments, Rocket fans, in the section. You see my Twitter there is the HR Review. We'll have another Let's Talk Houston Rockets probably this Saturday at 8 p.m. Central. Try to bring in Andy. There we go.
I don't know why there was two of me. I need to kick out this one. But anyways, as it was cutting off, like I was mentioning, I hope I'm not barging in and trying to get back the plug. But like you said, we had Cordelius Jefferson on our show, and going back to the guest that we had earlier today, and he was mentioning like how he literally listed off all the different bullet points when it comes to describing a UH player when he was talking about JoJo Tugler. And honestly, it was pretty similar when we were talking with KJ, and the first thing he said, he's talking about culture already. He was talking about he can't wait to come down to Houston and be that blue collar player. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a perfect fit. So just exactly what Lowe said. So it was a real good conversation. I feel for Houston fans, it's worth checking out.
A good job by you and Dayon Dunlap with that interview. And Cordell and JoJo are two of the top 10 players in the state who have committed to Houston for the class of 23. So it's a good sign going forward for the program as they enter the Big 12. Hopefully an announcement will be forthcoming because the Conference USA schools want to announce their membership and joining the AAC this week, June 1st.
Oh, wow.
So everything should be...
This will be a big week.
It should all be tied together. So an announcement should be, hopefully, that an agreement money-wise with Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and the American buyout, whatever you want to call it, that reach something so they can go to the Big 12 officially for 23, start on July 1st, 2023. And then the Conference USA 6 can announce they're joining the American this week as well. So all tied together. And if so, we can talk about that on our next show here on Talkin Sports.
It's a big week because by next show, we'll know what Marcus Sasser does.
Indeed. And all of us, if you missed it, all four of us, frightening, but all four of us picked Boston to win Game 7 in Miami tonight. So watch the game. Thank you to Marlon Lowe, who's part of the Houston Hoops program, for joining us from Louisville to talk a little bit about the grassroots program, and JoJo Tugler, who is verbal to Houston, talented, athletic, Cougar player already. So thank you for that. Marlon Lowe, you can catch the show, obviously, the rebroadcast on Twitter at Talk Sports, Houston Roundball Reviews YouTube channel, and audio podcast on all the iTunes, Spotify, etc., those podcast platforms as well. So audio, video, we got you covered. Andy, do your sponsor push one more time, man.
Yeah, like we said, folks, Talkin Sports. We're getting into the prime of the off season. Rockets talk, playoffs talk, finals talk, commitments, football. We're looking for sponsors. So if anyone is interested, Hoops and Holler, Starship Houston, the pizza place. Sorry if I butchered it, and a whole bunch of other different businesses that I could list off. Heck, if we could get a Sawgrass Steakhouse, anyone, whoever could be watching from all over the world, you own a business and you enjoy what we do, obviously, of course, come talk to us because we are also business folk.
Well, we have big plans. We're just looking for people to help us make those plans come to fruition. For Andy
And at the end of the
Yanez,
day, it'll keep growing. If we can keep growing, soon, we'd be able to provide more in-depth coverage. And we got big plans, so hopefully we can get people to buy in as well.
Andy Yanez, James Mueller, Willy Gibson, thank you as always for your insight and time to take out your day to join me for this Folks Talking Sports show. See you next week. You guys take care.
Rock on.